Welcome everyone to another episode of the Hustle Reports. Today we're going to be talking about some really interesting stuff. Vampire facials. We're also going to be talking about when is the right time to leave that stinking job of yours. And we have a super special guest, Kevin Booker. My name's Peter Helms.
And I'm Suki, living another day in paradise.
Stay tuned in. All right, welcome back, guys. My name's Peter Helms.
And I'm Suki.
This is another episode of the Hustle Reports. Today we have a super special guest, Kevin Booker. If you don't know him, you're about to be in for a real treat. And we'll talk about vampire facials, vampire facials. We'll also talk about leaving that job of yours. We had some conversation beforehand about abducting people from their jobs.
Yeah, definitely. People really need this, I feel. Only based on their social media, right? Like, we're looking at the stuff they post and they're always like, oh, I hate my job. I wish my boss would die. If only I had more time to spend with my family or just fuck around, right?
Seriously, I hear it all the time. It's like, if you don't love your job, then get out.
Right. So we feel we should help make people's dreams come true by just pulling up in an unidentified vehicle, dressed in green, and just abducting people.
That's right. It'll be like a full-on extraction team. I look at it like this. If on Sunday night you're not pumped to get to your job,
right,
then you're in the wrong career. Like, you need to find an exit plan.
Why just Sunday night? You should be pumped every day.
Every day. Why not?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love it. So I want to give a shout out here to this, speaking of green, wearing green.
Right, you're all greened out today.
Yeah. This Mean Green smoothie from Norwich Nutrition is really good. It's got kale, cucumber, spinach, peanut butter. It's all good.
Now, have you always been known to eat healthy and drink these green shakes? I don't think so.
I have to say, Suki, you influenced me.
Why, thank you.
Yeah, ever since that you and I started hanging out, doing this podcast, I've been eating better.
Right. So this one time I got this green juice with a celery and like bell pepper, and you literally spit this crap out in the car. He was just like, this isn't even like good. How do people drink this stuff every day?
What's it called again? What's that?
Oh, I don't even know what it's called. It's got like kale, parsley, celery, bell peppers. I don't know, everything green in it, and it's not sweet at all, so there's no sugar. But I'm like, people drink beer, right? I mean, what's so good about that?
Beer's pretty gross.
Yeah. So, I mean, you could drink green crap, and it actually makes you feel better. Right?
It does.
Yeah.
So I also want to talk about something else that we did one day. We went to get you a facial, a vampire facial. You just got it.
Right, I got it, and so for about 5 days, it looked like I got run over by a car. I was actually in hiding, so it kind of worked out because I was supposed to be like quarantining, and so it was like killing two birds with one stone. So maybe you could talk about your introduction into the world of facials.
It was crazy. I didn't even know this thing existed. They took some blood from you. They like whipped it up with some machine, and they put the blood back on your face. I had so many questions. The poor lady, Mia Hong, she's excellent, by the way. Mia Hong from M Spa CT in West Hartford, Connecticut. Look her up if you're into all that Botox and facials and yada, yada, yada. Look her up. I had so many questions for her. That poor lady, she was like, what? You never heard of this?
Yeah, she could even give you abs by doing some procedure where she smooths the fat out of your body.
Yeah.
I'm not really a good candidate for that, so I didn't really dive into all that information she was giving us. I was more or less interested in the wrinkle-free procedure. But
It's a whole thing. I didn't even know it.
yeah, so if you guys ever see me and my face is super fucked up, it's not because I was like on some drug binge and like I got lacerations on my face, or it wasn't because like I got, burnt in a fire. I'm trying to be like Freddy Krueger. It's really because I'll be 40 pretty soon.
What?
And I just don't want any like wrinkles on my
Yeah.
face.
You look fantastic though. The facial work,
Thanks.
you looked good before, but now it's like enhancing your
Right.
what you have. So big shout out to Mia and what she's doing.
Yeah, thank you, Mia, for fucking up my face and then making it look better. You're never gonna hear the end of it.
Yeah, it's all good though. So I want to introduce our guest now. So I'm gonna let him introduce himself. I don't think I could even do it justice. His name is Kevin Booker. We have some history. I met him some years back, and he actually made me stand up in one of his seminars and like, tell us your vision, tell us your 5-year plan. What are you gonna do? And interesting enough, a lot of the stuff I said back then has actually come to fruition. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome our guest today, Kevin Booker. Thank you for coming on today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Peter. Thank you so much for having me on the Hustle Report. It is an honor to be here. As being a business owner, and I'm an owner, entrepreneur of Booker Empowerment LLC, every day I'm hustling to be a better version of myself. So it is an honor to be on this show. And to all the viewers and listeners right now, I just want to wish you all, a wonderful day because we are going to have a great time with this dialogue today. So thank you so much for having me on your show.
Absolutely. It's such an honor. And your smile just lights up the whole episode. Your positivity comes through in everything you do. And I genuinely appreciate you. Could you tell us a little bit more about your business and what it is that you do?
Yes, absolutely. I established my business in 2007, Booker Empowerment LLC, which I do diversity training and leadership training all around the country. And I focus on working with colleges, universities, organizations, police departments, high schools, different districts as well, and corporations. And I help people dig deep into their own microaggressions, as well as helping them move forward to becoming better individuals by tapping into their inner greatness. Because our goal within life always is to be better versions of ourselves. So that's what I do within my training, and it has been very successful. But at first, as we all know in business, we're always nervous about taking that leap of faith. And in 2007, I decided to take that leap of faith by really pushing myself to activate that full potential within myself. And it took time, but I'm here today, and I'm so grateful to be here today to even talk about entrepreneurship and also how do we continue getting that hustle, hustling to be a better version of ourselves and tapping into our businesses as entrepreneurs. And I'm also a teacher as well. I'm a professor at Asnuntuck Community College.
Wow, you do a lot, really. Just hearing you, I'm so in line with some of the ways that you think, and I'm actually a product of your Booker Empowerment work. I remember it distinctly when I was in your seminar, and it was impactful. So, I love what you do. So, where did that all come from? What motivated you early on to go down that road?
That's a great question. What motivated me was honestly, there's a documentary that's out now. Not to get look at things from the dark time within our country and everything, but in 1987 there was a time in our country which we remember was the crack epidemic. Mm-hmm. And that era, I watched my entire community change and my neighborhood change. And during that time, there were kids who were looking at some of the older kids, and they were watching them how the drugs were taking over our community. And then what happened during that time, I watched as I got to high school, some of the kids started getting involved into, negative behavior that they were seeing during that time, during the crack epidemic in the early 90s. So then fast forward to the early 2000s, when I got home, I remember sitting on the steps of my uncle's house in the same neighborhood that I grew up in. And I said to myself, I'm looking at the kids who were younger at that time, and now they're getting involved in that same behavior that I watched when I was 10 years old. And then when I watched when I was a teenager, and I saw the generational things that were occurring. And then I remember going to college and just seeing how many of us are just not exposed. So I said to myself, and like 20 years ago, I said, I want to get involved. I really want to create change. and I want to create change and make sure that it's impactful, because I don't want people to have to go through a lot of the trauma and the drama that, within they see within their communities. And also I was seeing things that were occurring within my own college. So when I think about like race and stuff, I remember my roommate my freshman year of college said, Kevin, I never forget it. It was at 11 at night, and he said, my first day of college, he said, Kevin, do all black people, um, eat fried chicken? And I said, what? And then I said to him, I said, do white people are all white people the same color? And he said, no. And he said, are black people the same color? And he said, no. And then those questions at 18 years old, and then seeing the situations in my neighborhood really pushed me to want to start having conversations about race, talk about culture, things within that nature. And then I realized I could make it into a business as well. So I took something I was passionate about in those conversations and things I was observing growing up and made it into a business.
Wow.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What do you think, Suki?
I know that, like, just listening to your journey of how you first started and what really inspired you to get to where you are right now, it all started back from childhood experiences. So, like, what area were you living in when all of this kind of came about? You spoke about the crack epidemic.
Yeah, so I was living at the time in the north end of Hartford.
Mm-hmm.
And in the north end of Hartford, just like all the cities, there's a documentary right now by Stanley Nelson. And Stanley Nelson has just there's a documentary on Netflix called Crack. And in the late 80s and early 90s, you begin to see how communities, within urban communities where you have black and brown people who are highly concentrated, and I can't get into the whole historical makeup as the reason why things happened the way they did during that time period. But, the cocaine was infiltrated like within those communities. And because of that, you begin to have people who were getting into illegal activity. And then there also was a correlation between the rise in the prison industry as well. So, people like within in that time, I remember being in middle school, and I remember kids drawing pictures of the local drug dealers' cars.
Wow.
And so it's and it's sad because during that time period, seeing that, and then how it also affected later on, how many of my friends growing up were not exposed, and that also transpired into what do I want to aspire to be. So now we're on the hustle report, right? So people were hustling and aspiring to be, those drug kingpins within those communities. And that's exactly what Stanley Nelson has shed light on in the documentary. That this wasn't something that was you see in the movie. This was the reality of what was going on across America. So a kid like myself, growing up in Hartford during that time period, which was the fifth poorest city in the nation during that time, you begin to see how your neighborhood was changing, what people value was beginning to change. Not everyone, but some people who were being exposed to that type of behavior.
Right. So you obviously you witnessed like a lot growing up, but so what was the difference between you not falling into that lifestyle and say the other people that you grew up with or went to school with?
I would say honestly, it was a very strong support system that I had growing up with, like my mom, my father, just my family, and just also people who were encouraging me to be, like I said earlier, a better version of myself. Like just because your circumstance, you don't have to always allow your circumstance to dictate or define who you are.
Right.
So it's kind of like where you are now, right? So like in business, people say, wow, I'm in business. I can't leave my job, right? I can't, because I don't know if I will ever be able to make it, to take that next leap of faith. So like in my life, You know, my parents would always say, well, look at your grandparents, or look at your great grandparents. They had less resources. So, Kevin, do not make excuses as to why you cannot be your best. And then they would always, I remember like my mom sharing the poem Excuses with me. And she would say, excuses, excuses, excuses. Excuses are the tools of the incompetent, which create monuments of nothingness.
Mm.
And those who specialize in the use of these tools seldom amount to anything. So, like now, I say that every day to myself, even when I'm tired and I feel like I can't make it, and I feel like, geez, I don't know if I want to get up, or maybe I'm dealing with I'm in my own negative zone in my own head. I have to stop that negative self talk and push myself, because if I don't want to hold myself back and be my worst enemy.
Right, true. Can you say that one more time? I feel like viewers who are listening should
100%.
really write this down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get your
So
pen and
important.
paper if you
Yes.
have one. If you need to play this back, pause it, play it back. But yeah, please go ahead. I want to hear that again.
Yeah, we have to continue to push ourselves forward. Even when we're depressed, we have a negative talk within our head, our self-doubt. We have to push ourselves forward so we are not our worst enemy, because that's important. A lot of times we can't allow everything that's going on within ourselves, things that we have, all those distractions. Sometimes we have to take a step back, reflect, reevaluate, and say to ourselves, okay, how can I make this new day a better day? Like, I'm blessed to live another day. Okay, I can't dwell on the past. I can't dwell on yesterday. I messed up yesterday, but I'm blessed to live a new day. So
Right.
let's make this day a better day.
That's right.
Right.
Let me get my hustle on and make my hustle stronger today. So instead of maybe staying up so late, let me put in those 8 hours and get that 8 hours of rest, so I can get up at 6 or 5 and push myself, make sure I get my agenda together, things that I'm going to accomplish for the day, because that's what you're doing. You're setting yourself up for success.
Mm.
You're setting yourself up to be a better version of yourself. But one of the key goals to being successful and being a better version of yourself is making sure you have individuals around you who are supporting you, who you have as a support team as well.
Right. So did you learn that mindset from your parents mostly and your support team, or do you think like later on you kind of developed?
I would say my since we're on the hustle report,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
you know, and I love the title of the show. It's awesome. When I think of the hustle report, I learned that from my parents.
Your parents. Now, were they entrepreneurs or business people?
You know, I learned that from my parents. I give you a prime example. My parents had me when they were 17,
Okay, wow.
right? So
So there's no
parents are-
excuses for people out
There's
there.
choices, right?
That's right.
So I just give you an example, like my mom. My mom went back to school when she was 42 years old.
Okay,
She's 62 now.
okay,
And my mom she's finished up her doctorate degree. And she's finishing up her doctorate degree right now at Oxford. And she has acquired 4 degrees. She's pushing herself, and she continues, and she started her own business as well. So, and then I look at my dad. My dad works, even now at 61, he works 75, 80 hours a week.
Wow.
And he runs his side business, all that. So like that, and my parents used to always tell me, Kevin, diversify your portfolio. Make sure you are diversifying your portfolio. Also, whenever you make a certain amount of money, put money aside, save it up, save your money.
Could you tell us a little bit about the diverse your portfolio? What does that mean for those who just have no idea? Maybe they don't even know what a portfolio is. How would you unpack that?
So for my individuals out here who are listening, and you have that desire, because you're listening to the show right now, so you already have made the first step. Let's just say that's important. You're already a person who is destined for greatness. So when you think about diversifying your portfolio, what you're doing is you're looking at your options. Okay, so you're saying to yourself, I need to make sure that I'm looking at my options, that I'm not just putting all my eggs in one basket. okay, when it comes to business and taking care of my family and making sure I'm really looking at different things that I also have potential in doing, things that I'm good at. So let's say, first of all, I'll give you three things here. So you might have your full-time job, all right? And then you say, okay, I have my business that I want to start and I'm working towards, but you have to put time into that business. That comes back to what I was saying earlier. You know, getting up early, setting your time, your agenda aside. So now you have your business. You have also, you know, the business that you're working on. Every single day you're putting time into that. You're investing into that. Instead of watching television, you're like, I'm putting time into that business. And then you're focusing on maybe something else like a skill that will also allow you to develop your business and also grow your business as well. So now you got your hands in three different things: your business, your job, your career, which also helps with your resume, and also help your business as well build those credentials for your business. And then you're working on something else here as well as like a skill that's going to later on help you in your business.
Right. So you got a main hustle, a side hustle, and something that helps to enhance that side hustle, which maybe in time will become the main hustle.
See, that was well said.
Well, we are on the hustle reports,
That's right.
right? So that's what it's all about.
The hustle report.
And we're definitely going to talk about today, we're going to talk a little bit more about when is the right time to leave your main hustle and turn your side hustle into the number one. And so I'd like to kind of get your input on it as well before we go into it. What do you think? When is a good time to do that? When did you do it?
I would say you have to make sure, the first thing I'm going to tell anyone, we're all at a different place in our life, okay, even financially. So you have to look at where you are in your life. And you also have to make sure that you are mentally ready, as far as you're in a place in your life where you know you can give your all to whatever your passion or whatever you desire. That's number one. Number two, making sure that you know exactly what you want to do. Because in the third part is always remember, people will pay you for what you know. And I'm going to say that again. People will pay you for what you know. But the most important part is that you have to continue developing your craft. And as you get comfortable and you start realizing that people will pay you for what you know, and you have a product, and you're seeing that you're making more money off of your business than you do with work, and then you have to really begin to evaluate and sit down and have what I call your committee. You need to have a committee, individuals who you trust, individuals who are maybe in the industry, a similar industry, and then you need to figure out what are you doing well and what can you improve on before you actually put all your eggs in one basket. Kind of just as part of doing your research, being that student, but you're being a student for yourself in your own development. And that's what allows you to move forward and not be afraid to fail.
It's really good stuff.
Really good advice, Kevin.
So-
Wow, I could just sit here and listen to you forever. I'm
That's
taking
what
it all in.
Yeah,
That's extremely important. And then I would say the last part is, you know, you really have to get comfortable being uncomfortable in situations. Even when you're in a room, you have to be willing to listen to other people, and learn as well, and push yourself. Like every day you have to say to yourself, I'm hungry, right? So it's like if you need to eat, you're gonna go, okay, I gotta feed my children. I have to take care of pay my bills. It's the same type of energy you have to put into your business. You know, your business, you have to have the desire and that hunger the same way. So like if you're sleeping to 9 o'clock, you have to think about it. When you're sleeping, someone else is creeping.
Yeah, we were talking about this the other day, that there is some business that is only available first thing in the morning.
Right.
I don't know what business that is. I don't know if it's that big deal that's really going to be a breakthrough for your business. But if you're not waking up to catch that worm, like early bird catches the worm, somebody else is going to get it.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
So it's so important to make sure that you have a set schedule as well. And when they done, and you look at research, for example, like I love reading books on entrepreneurship and also listen to audio, even when you're in a car, because it's encouraging, it's motivating.
What's actually, there's a question I ask often, and I'm glad you just brought that up. What are your top 3 books that you would recommend to an aspiring entrepreneur?
My top 3 books, I would have to say, first one is Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's a really great book. Just starting off with entrepreneurship, understanding. Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, Think Big, Grow Rich. And then also, when I think about when I was really starting off, is The Millionaire Mind. And I can't remember the author of that particular book, but The Millionaire Mind also taps into millionaires all over the country and the world. And what exactly do they do differently compared to others? How do other people think who have money?
Thomas Stanley is the author of that one.
That's the
Yeah.
one, right?
Yep.
And
Took me a minute, but
right. I would actually tap into that one because I remember that was very life-changing for me, because a lot of times it's a mindset. It's taking yourself, transforming yourself into, it's like life is all about, I always think about like Kobe Bryant, because Kobe Bryant would always say, I want to be a better version of myself. Have that Mamba mentality. The Mamba mentality also needs to be implemented within yourself every single day when you're striving to be a better version of yourself, even in business.
right. So I think that's a really good point, and it's a challenging thing for people to do, where either they fall on this side of they find it difficult to recognize their weaknesses and where they need to focus as far as growth and development goes, or they fall on the other side where they find it really hard to focus in on their strengths and identify those and give themselves credit for those things they do really well. How would you say, what would you recommend to somebody on how to balance the two between strengths and weaknesses?
Well, your strengths and weaknesses, what I would do, which I think is extremely important, is make sure that, when you look at your strengths and your weaknesses, when you're trying to figure out who you are as a person, is write it down. Begin looking at what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses, and then also it goes back to your committee again, right? So having I don't do anything by myself, right? I have a team behind me. So what people see is just they see me, but they don't understand there are 6 or 7, 8 individuals that I trust behind me who actually support and encourage me and also tell me, hey, this was great, but this is something you can work on. So
how did you choose the? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was just curious. How did you choose those people? When you first realized you needed a committee, what was your approach to choosing them?
That's a great question, Peter. That's a really good question. So because you can't trust everyone, right?
Right.
And everyone on your team, as we all know, they don't have your best interests.
True.
Right. So, and that's just as students always say to me, Mr. Booker, that's facts, right? So the reality is that you have to pick people who are, the way I chose my circle was I look at, first of all, I go, okay, who in my circle has been with me? Who are my ride or dies is what I call them, right? My individuals around me who are ride for me.
Your day ones.
Right? And that's the first thing. Who really knows my soul? Okay, who really knows who I am as an individual? So then in your life, you only have about 2 to 3 good friends. That's just a fact of life, right? Most other people are like acquaintances. So what I do typically is I'll talk to my 2 best friends who I know who have been with me over 20 years, 25 years, whatever, right? Those are people I know I can trust. So those people are in my circle. And then I look at it depends on who raised you or who are your family members. You know, maybe you have like one or two people in your family you're very close to, right? And then I have those individuals in my circle as well. And then what I do is I have individuals who have become mentors for me. Individuals who I trust and I aspire to be, right? Because if you're the smartest person in your group, in your circle, you need to reevaluate your circle. If
She
you're
just
the
told me that the other day.
Yeah, yeah. If you're the smartest person in your circle, you have to reevaluate your circle. Like I have a circle now in my circle. I have a superintendent in my circle. I have a partner of a law firm in my circle. You know, I have a couple state reps in my circle. I have another individual who's a judge. I have another individual in my circle who runs two major companies. So like I'm not the smartest person when I'm sitting at the table. So what it does is it also pushes you and encourages you to be a better person and also tap into your greatness with your business. And also you can get advice. So if I need advice on contracts, I can go to my person in my circle who's a lawyer, right? If I need advice on what's going on in the educational system, how to actually do create partnerships with people in the school system, I can go to my friend who's a superintendent. Mm. That's that network, because your network is your net worth.
It really is. It
so
really
true.
is.
I live by that, definitely.
And some people think about the network as just the people, but it's also the ability to work. So I've heard someone break down network before as, two words, net and work. Mm-hmm. You know, after all said and done, how much can you get done through the people that are on your team?
Right, all the value that they bring to the table, and especially individually and when everyone comes together, the value increases, or it should.
Right. You know, the way I look at things sometimes, and it's sad to say it this way, but a lot of times, like when I'm sitting in a room, I'll say to myself, is someone an asset or a liability at times? Mm-hmm. You know, and because we're talking on the hustle report here. And on the hustle report, as we all know in business, you know, it's like when you look at someone and they come in for a job, you look and you say to yourself as a business owner, right? You say, is this person an asset or a liability? Can they bring my business to the next level? Will they be able to contribute? And that's the same question you should ask yourself in your own life when you're developing yourself in business or just your personal self. Is this person going to be an asset or a liability when it comes to my committee? Mm-hmm. Because that's about self-development, right? So because the goal in life, the reality is we are not going to be here forever. So 100 years from now, when it's 2121, we will not be here, right? But the reality is our legacy will be here. Wow. And your legacy, you want individuals around you who are going to help you become the great individual that you're striving to be in your life.
Now you're talking my language, Kevin. That's my number one life goal. Is you just touched on is to create a positive legacy. At the end of the day, it's why I do everything I do. It's not for the money. It's not for the notoriety. None of that. It's that when I'm dead and gone, that more people show up to my funeral than anyone ever expected with positive stories of how I impacted their lives. So you're speaking my language when you talk legacy.
Yeah, we're all on the same page with that one, definitely.
That's what it's all about.
Yep.
Right.
So it's like, okay, why do we do the work, right?
Yep.
Money is great and all at the end of the day because money helps with, you know, things that we want to accomplish. Right. But what people seem to forget is that when we talk about money, what is the root? Why do we want to acquire more money, right? It's not just about influence and power. What it's really about is legacy, allowing yourself to be able to help and encourage and inspire others, right? So you're able to tap into resources that you didn't have resources. Those doors were not open before. And I'm going to give you a prime example of history. Andrew Carnegie. Yep. What Andrew Carnegie did during the turn of the 20th century, he was one of the richest men in the world. But what did he do? He said, you know what, I'm going to give half of my money away and create libraries throughout the United States. Now, at the time, his wealth was worth billions and billions of dollars. But what did he do by doing that? Was that he created public libraries throughout the nation, which also allowed people, no matter who you were, your background, where you came from, to be able to actually work on yourself. Go walk into a public library and actually be able to educate yourself.
Man, what a difference this man made. And you're making a difference too, Kevin. You know it, and the people around you know it. I'm really grateful to actually have you joining our team. You can make that announcement when the time is right of what that all looks like. But I know that you're a 100% asset to our team, and we're really grateful not just to have you on this show, but what's going to come next. So I want to thank you for coming on today. I look forward to our next conversation. I always look forward to our conversations and the content I see on your Facebook page. If you could, how could people find you? Some closing notes. What would you like to leave our audience with?
Well, first of all, I just want to say to the audience, it's an honor and a pleasure to be on this show. Please continue listening to the Hustle Report. This is the show, and we're going to continue moving this company forward. It's an honor and pleasure, Peter, to be part of this company. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm also looking forward to launching my show soon as well. You can follow me on Facebook, Kevin Booker Jr., on Twitter, Kevin Booker Jr. You can log on to my page on Booker Empowerment LLC to learn more about my company. And just continue following. And also you can give me a call. I'll even leave my phone number for you all as well, my business number, 860-941-0134. If you need any advice, if you just want to talk about encouraging each other, because that's what we have to continue doing, because that's what this is all about, encouraging one another. And please, and I'm going to say this again, please continue listening to the Hustle Report. This is real news. This is real radio here. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Love you so much. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Love you too.
Love you, man. Talk to you soon.
Man. Oh my God, I love that guy.
He's amazing.
We didn't even get a chance to talk about his Facebook content.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I love watching those shows with the toys and the games.
Oh yeah, he's doing like a children's show now.
Yes.
My son, he watched it. I put it on for him, and he was like just stuck on it. I was like, man.
Yeah, it's so entertaining. So it's not that he just does all this motivational business, diverse training. He has this whole other side to him.
Oh yeah, and he's been working with students in the schools for a while.
Right.
I think he did like the morning announcements, and I think it was New London High. He did that every morning, like positive affirmations, like really involved in the community.
Right. It's so engaging, especially for the youth. So he's starting everyone off at an early age, getting them, on board with diversity and really being a better person, living a better version of yourself every day.
That's what it's about.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
So now's the time for us to get into the Hustle Report. Mm-hmm. We've touched on it a little bit. Even Kevin Booker, he touched on it a little bit today.
Absolutely.
And so what we're going to talk about is how to leave that stinking job.
Right. And don't wait for us to abduct you.
Because we will. If we see you online complaining about your boss and how you hate your job, or if we see you saying, I'm an entrepreneur, but then you're going and just like giving everything you got to a company that's not yours, we're coming.
Right. Yeah. So I think what Kevin talked about, the whole thing with don't put all your eggs in one basket, is kind of the key, right? So we could kind of dive into the whole portfolio thing. And it's not really just about money in a portfolio. It's a set of skills. So whether or not you work at, as customer service or in a retail store at the mall, you are developing a skill set over time, which you may not realize it when you're just getting paid minimum wage, folding T-shirts and saying hi to customers.
No, there's a skill set there. And how does that skill set tie into your larger plan? Right. I remember one of the things I did was I started working in restaurants because I knew I wanted to do marketing. And if I was going to do marketing, I needed to understand a lot of different types of people.
Right.
The only way to understand a lot of different types of people is to go and have conversations, put myself in front of them
Really?
and serve them.
Wow, and serve them too. So that's kind of, I know you really like doing social experiments on people, right? Like on humans.
No,
No, not in a bad way. Not in a bad way. Well, I don't know.
I like to do thought experiments.
Oh, thought experiments. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe it's me. I like doing social experiments.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what market research is sometimes.
Right. R&D, right?
gotta
Research
do
and
R&D.
development.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as far as if I could, I'll tell a little bit about how I left my stinking job.
Oh, yeah. I want to hear this. I haven't heard this story before.
I actually had to get pushed out.
Oh, damn.
So I was doing my business. I have a marketing company, and I was treating it as a side hustle. So I always say this: from 9 to 5, I would go and work at my job, and then from 5 to 9, I'd work on my own thing. I also chose a job that was in marketing, which created a little bit of conflict, to be honest with you, because I was working for a competitor as I was growing my company. I was always honest about it, straight up with them from day one. Even got it documented. I was like, before I took the job, I sent them an email and was like, hey, just so you know, I'm building a marketing agency of my own. Is this going to be okay? Got the response back in an email, so it's documented. This way, if they ever gave me a hard time saying, hey, you're not supposed to be working for another marketing company, I'm like, no, you said it was okay. So that's actually, I covered my basis in that. But while I was working at that marketing agency, the whole time I was learning what was working for them, and I was applying it to my own business.
Really? So
I
is that
was.
considered like sneaky stuff, or is that normal?
I was honest about it.
Right?
I didn't lie. I told them straight up, I have a marketing agency. That's my vision. That's what I'm looking to do.
Well, actually, it's not sneaky because all the jobs I've worked, you know, as a teenager or like when I was younger, whether it was Walmart or Stop and Shop or whatever, I was learning so many different things. Like, for example, there's customer service, branding the product, like the 4 P's of marketing, the product, the placement, promotion. What's the other one? Price, right? So like when you work at a vitamin store or at Walmart, you're learning all of that stuff, but it's like on the job training. So the whole entire time I would be thinking, when I leave here, I'm going to utilize all these skills and all this knowledge and do it for myself at my own business.
That's right.
So it
Now-
wasn't like I was being sneaky.
No, it's not sneaky. And at the end of the day, I believe in ethical-based business decisions. So I have my own moral compass, and there was a couple things that I would not do. One thing I would not do is I would not steal clients from the company I worked for.
Okay, that's good.
Right? I would not do that. Even if I even had clients at times come to me and say, hey, why don't you do it for me? We don't need this company. I'd be like, sorry, I can't do that.
Okay.
Another thing I wouldn't do is if there was anything proprietary that I knew was like their secret ingredient, I would not take that and use it.
Right.
Right? There's
Yeah,
certain,
definitely.
I had ethical boundaries. with
Okay,
it.
that's good. Right.
But there did come a point. So here I was working for this company, helping them grow, you know, doing the marketing for them, and then building my own on the side. I would actually, sales is a big part of business growth. So I would call people on the West Coast when I got out of work at 5 o'clock because over there it was still 2 o'clock. So it was still business hours.
So, smart.
So I started doing that.
Okay.
Then there did come a point where I started making a decent amount. And it was this thing where it's like, okay, I'm making enough from this, but what if I spent more time on it?
Right.
And my VP at the time, she actually came to me and she saw what was going on. She's like, I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to fire you. And I was like so excited about that moment because I was struggling inside. It's like, I know I need to take the leap, but I just can't do it myself.
Oh, because you're not a quitter type of
Not a quitter.
person. Yes.
Not a
I know
quitter.
exactly what you're talking about.
So either it was going to be someone firing me or me getting extracted from the company.
Right. Yeah. So
So,
she
yeah.
did you a favor.
Big favor. I actually thanked her. I called her just a couple months ago and was like, man, I really appreciate you getting rid of me. And she didn't do it in a mean way. Like, she's like, look, you got to go. Like, this is not where you're supposed to be. So,
But before that job, because that wasn't a job that you had forever and ever. So when you were younger, I'm sure you've had other jobs, right? Many jobs. So at what point in time did you want to quit that job to do something else? Was it
So it was financial.
okay?
It was financial for me that there was often times where I wanted to, but I couldn't because how would I
Right.
afford that?
right.
There was also the confidence. I needed to have a certain degree of confidence in my work that it was going to bring value to the marketplace. So that just took enough clients paying me. Once enough clients, I don't know how many, but I'd say maybe 20 started paying me for my services. That built up enough confidence where I was like, oh, I have something here.
Right.
It wasn't just me in my own mind. I needed the proof of a client coming to me and saying, here's how much we're going to pay you. And there was a couple times that were huge confident boosters, and I'd ask you to pay attention because this will be a key moment in knowing that your product or service is something that you can take to market full time.
Okay, I'm listening.
I had a client come to me and say, I want to spend more.
Really? What did that feel like for you?
It felt amazing because I did not sell anything. What prompts somebody to come and say, look, I'm not spending enough. I want to spend more with you.
Why do you think they said that to you?
Because I delivered good service. I'd like to believe that. I mean,
Right. And how long did you spend?
and
with
actually,
that
not like I
client?
believe it. He said it. He's
Right.
like, you're doing a really good job. Like the results are there. If I just put more money into this, I know I'm going to get better results.
Right. So the proof's in the pudding.
Yep.
As soon as he said that. Well, that's really amazing. I mean, not everybody gets that breakthrough moment, right?
No, but what I would say, just generally speaking, don't just jump full in unless you've got the financial backing. If you've got the money to do it, then don't work at a job at all. Just sit down and really dive into what is your passion, what do you love, what could you see yourself waking up every day and doing whether or not you got paid for it.
Right. Well, you know what? Even more so is you just can't rely on the financial backing. Okay, so I've been in a situation where I would complain about my job, like in my 20s, right? So at the time, there was someone who was like a mentor to me, and they said, you know what? Say you had all the money in the world right now to start your dream business or like get a new job or whatever. What would you do? And I went, oh shit, I don't even have the right skill set in order to do that or the information, right? So it's not about the money, like not necessarily, not all the time. So sometimes you really need months or years to build up that skill set in order to get to a point where Kevin talked about it, like it's mental, right? Like mentally and emotionally, you have to be prepared to go into, it's a whole different lifestyle. So yeah, don't just do it because, mommy and daddy or someone's gonna back you. Because then what if you fail?
We'll back you.
know?
We'll be mommy and daddy of the Hustle Nation.
Okay,
So don't worry, we'll back you, but don't rely on us to do it. Right? Like come in here, get your inspiration, but go out there and create your hustle. Like do it. Why not? If you don't do it, someone else is gonna.
Right? Yeah. And it's also a confidence building tool, I think, over time. The more that you work on your skills and your knowledge, what did Kevin say? He goes, you get paid in regard to what you know. So if you don't know shit, but you got all the money to make like fancy business cards and a website, I mean, no one's going to pay you at the end of the day anyways, and your business is just going to fail.
Yeah. The beautiful thing about nowadays, about getting information that you don't have, there's these things right here. And if you can't afford one of these, which I get it, some people can't.
Yeah.
That doesn't make you a bad person. There was a time where I was down and out. I could not afford a phone. Go to the public library. Go to the public library, get on their computers, and start getting information in your brain about whatever it is that you're looking to do. YouTube has tons of information. Udemy, you can just go on there and for $10 you could learn how to create websites, how to use Adobe Premiere, how to become a graphic designer. You could learn all kinds, how to cook. If you want to be a chef, go on there, go to Udemy. There's tons of information. YouTube's the free route. You can do that too. Just link up with someone who's doing it. Go knock on the door of someone who's successful and be like, look, I will do whatever it takes if you teach me. Just show me how to do it.
Right?
And then open yourself up to learn. If you really want it bad enough, you'll get it.
You got to go out and get it. You can't be shy. I think that's the number one thing. I deal with so many entrepreneurs, young, old, whatever, even kids, and what their hesitation is a lot of the times is they're like, what will people think of me? And I go, who fucking cares? Like, you got this far, you're asking me, I'm a complete stranger. You obviously want to know more and you want to do, you want to do better in life. I'm like, if you don't listen to me, the door's right there. You could walk away and then you'll be back to square one where you first started in the first place, right? So I don't know, you came to find me and you're asking a whole bunch of questions of like how to make money and I don't know, start a business. So just stop being shy.
That's
Just
right.
go for it.
Don't be shy. You gotta like just take charge. Take the bulls by the horn.
Like you said, you got to open yourself up.
Yeah. And then this is the challenging part. Stay opened up. Because you're going to get to this point where you actually know some stuff. And you're confident in that. But there's a difference between confidence and cockiness.
Yeah.
Don't ever be so cocky where you can't learn from another person, right? That there's always somebody who's got a little bit more info or a different perspective. So stay opened up. Stay in that process of learning, because basic biology teaches us that once any living organism stops the process of growing, they begin the process of dying. And for human beings, the way we grow is by learning.
Now, do you feel that things are scary or they feel scary only because it's never been done before? Like a
Yeah.
lot of people have fear. And then if you break that down, you're like, why are you so scared? And they're like, I don't know.
Everything you've ever wished and wanted for is on the other side of fear.
Yes.
Now, don't get me wrong. There's some situations you should be afraid of. Like, there's a burning fire. Don't jump into the fire. Be afraid of it and go the other way. So there's a time to run away and go in the other direction. However, if the fears are just like irrational, like if you're afraid of what someone might think, if they're going to tell you no, what your parents are going to say if you get involved in something that wasn't their dream for you, everything you ever wished and wanted for is on the other side of that fear. So go for it. Go for it.
Yeah. I hear that a lot. Like a lot of parents have this expectation for their young adult children to go to college and get a real job. So starting a brand online and selling T-shirts and hoodies is not part of the dream. And so there's this constant battle between the parent and the high school graduate or the college student, where it's just it's a real struggle.
Yeah.
So if you're a parent out there listening, support your child in their dreams. They're gonna do whatever they want anyways. And I mean, I just think you really need to show a lot of like love and support for a young entrepreneur.
For sure, for sure. And
Yeah.
for those of you who don't have parents out there, it's all good. We'll kind of like fulfill that role. We're not your actual mom and dad, but join the Hustle Nation, join the family, and we'll do anything we can to love and support you as you go on your path of entrepreneurship. Like her and I have had conversations about this offline, and we both have a heart for people and want to see others succeed. So if that's what it takes, if you didn't have a parent that was supportive of your dreams, well, now you have some people who will stand in that role, right? Like, we'll never be your parents officially. It's not like, that's their job. That's not our responsibility. But we'll stand in the gap if we need to.
Right. Yeah. If you need a supportive role model or team, we have your backs. So we're here, part of the Hustle Nation. So are you guys. There's a lot of people out there who we identify with, and we have a lot of things in common with, as far as like starting a business, just living your dreams, having goals in mind where not necessarily your family or friends may understand that. And it could feel lonely at times. But knowing that you have a support system behind you is probably going to make you feel a lot better.
So Kevin Booker said, the
Yes.
support system.
Right. He says he never does anything alone. Where you see him doing whatever it is that he does, there's like 8 or 9 people behind him, right?
100%.
Right.
So I think that's about it for today. What do you think?
I think that's about it. And my words to everyone is start building your team, start building your tribe, open yourself up. Don't be afraid of fear. I mean, you're not going to die from starting a business, right? That's like the worst case scenario.
Seriously. So get ready to quit that stinking job. If you've got an idea, a business idea, and you want to go for it,
Yeah.
like there's a way to do it. Gather as much information as you possibly can. Go and ask others for help. Get a good support team around you, a committee, as Kevin Booker talks about. Run your decisions through them. See what they think. And at the end of the day, believe in yourself.
and grow some Suki balls.
Grow some Suki balls. We should create an appetizer called Suki balls.
Okay, so the whole thing about Suki balls, real quick, is that one of the entrepreneurs who has had some struggles with just kind of, entrepreneurship in general.
Dilly.
Dylan, if you're listening out there, big shout out to you. So one day he came in and he had a breakthrough moment and he said, you know what? I got all pumped up. Someone was trying to, shit on me and I grew my Suki balls. And I said, excuse me? And he's like, yeah, that's what they feel like. It's like when you feel so empowered that you just get all charged up and you tell those people, I don't care what you think, I'm gonna start my own business. You may not see the dream in me, but I have it. It's way deep down inside. I'm gonna pull it up, with those balls and just go for it.
That's what I'm talking about. Get your Suki balls.
And keep drinking the hustle juice.
Big shout out to Hustle Nation. We love you. Appreciate you watching. You can check this out on Spotify, Apple iTunes, the YouTube channel. That's coming soon. Facebook page. Also, big shout out to our producers in Forward Television. This TV network is coming together, and a lot is on the way. So stay tuned. We appreciate you.
Love you guys. See you next time.
Absolutely.